Good morning, everybody. Man, I hope the day go well for everybody. I hope the week has been going well so far. First of all, man, again, I want to thank everybody, man, for their support, especially those that have become subscribers. All of the new subscribers, I really, really appreciate you all. As always, I continue to deliver on my promise of positive content. What I really want to do is offer something good in the midst of all of the troublesome and negative commentary that we get so much in life. We're exposed to so much of that. And a lot of times it can overwhelm you to the point where you go about life approaching things from a negative perspective as opposed to going into things looking for the best outcome. So how did you like The Best Man? Of course, you knew I was going to bring that up, right? Because that's probably by far one of my most favorite pieces that I created, especially during the writing process, man. It was kind of cathartic to be able to sit down and to touch on topics and themes that sit a little close to my heart. And one of those topics or themes, I don't know if you noticed, but if you go back and watch the video, throughout the particular piece, I'm referring to the hands. Now, why did I do that? Now, of course, you know I'm going to use this as a teaching moment because, hey, I do a lot of that. Maybe a little bit too much at times, but the hands in literature are a device that connects the interior to the exterior. Let me give you an example. So we can take, for instance, a artist who inside of him has the notion of what he wants to create in the form of a painting. And so he uses his hands, his creative ability, his expertise with his artistic tools, whether it be a paintbrush, whether it be a flat or chisel or whatever it may be. He uses the tools at his disposal in order to take what's inside, what's just an idea or a notion, and turn it into something physical, something that can be viewed and appreciated by others. So that's what hands are used for. And so that artistic device that I use within the written work about the hands, I think was very important, because a lot of times in stories that you read, especially in stories where there's a moral to the story, hands are used in a way to transform or to take something that might be difficult and turn it into something that's beneficial for those around them. And in this particular piece, the older brother did just that. He used his hands, his hard work, his own personal effort to pull himself and his brother out of a destitute condition. Living underneath an overpass, sleeping on cardboard, having to steal to be able to eat. When you think about it, that's probably some of the worst conditions to live in. And to be honest with you, those are conditions that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. I wouldn't. Because you will notice throughout the piece that because of their lot in life, because of their lack of just their material necessities, there was an overwhelming cloud of hopelessness over them. Or at least that's the picture I tried to paint. And that hopelessness continued to roll and roll and roll. And if you notice, there are no parents around. No parents around. So what I want to suggest by that is that they were orphans. They were orphans. And they maybe in a sense never met their parents. Maybe they were abandoned at an early age. That's the thought process that I was going through. They had no one else to rely on, no one else to reach out to. And so the older brother took the responsibility of providing for the both of them very, very seriously. and he was able to come upon circumstances by taking an opportunity that most might not have taken. You think about it. Being a garbage man, doing sanitation work. It's hard work. Situations that you find yourself in might not be ideal. Picking up trash, the smell of things, the long hours. But if you notice, in the midst of all that, the older brother's hands were able to put himself and his younger brother in a better position. Yeah, he had to sacrifice time and effort. And maybe the sanitation work was the only work that the brother could find. Because now I didn't define his level of education. I didn't define where he came from or what skills that he had. But whatever skills he had, whatever educational level he had, he took this job because they needed it. He took this job because if he didn't do something to change their circumstances, no one else around was going to step in and help. You don't think that there were individuals who came by that overpass and saw them out there? You don't think that there were individuals who passed by them without even giving them a thought? So there wasn't going to be anyone to aid them, so they had to aid themselves. And I think that teaches a very powerful lesson. In life, sometimes that may be the case with us. There may not be any help coming. You might not have any assistance. So you have to steel yourself. You have to become what you need. You have to become it. And I think in this particular instance, the older brother did a wonderful job. But then you can see as the younger brother is starting to make the climb, the older brother wants him to climb higher than he did. He wants him to have a better life. He wants him to be able to experience the finer things in life. You can tell. Because he wanted his brother to have opportunities. Maybe opportunities that he never experienced. Maybe opportunities in life that never came his way. He wanted his younger brother to be able to experience them. And it worked. It worked. Not only were they able to pull themselves out of that situation, but then if you notice, the younger brother goes on to finish high school with honors. He goes on to go to college. And on one of the most important days in his life, he's able to share that day with his older brother. He's able to share it with him. His older brother is able to become a part of it. And one of the lines that I wrote that really I think is a striking one is that the older brother, having done what he knew he was supposed to, he didn't require any added admiration, right? He didn't require any extra praise for what he did. He did it because he loved his brother. He did it because it was necessary. And proof of that is when those other cords went around the older brother's neck. What was his response? He was surprised, deeply moved and surprised, because evidently this young man felt like the success that he was now encountering was partly due to the fact that his older brother had made so many sacrifices so that he could have the things that he needed. This is the manhood that we're talking about now. This is the kind of manhood that I'm used to. I don't know the kind of manhood that some of these creators get on their podcasts and talk about, or, you know, denigrating men, denigrating our ability to provide and our ability to create with our hands with better circumstances for the people that we love. I don't know who you're talking about. Sorry to get a little emotional on that part, because I'm not used to that. I'm used to the men around me, the men that I know. I'm used to seeing them perform in a way that's admirable, a way that puts their family and their friends and those around them in circumstances that may be better than when they initially started in a venture or in a pursuit. So the additional manhood in this situation, it starts to become apparent that this consistent personal effort that the older brother was exerting was going to have positive results. And so the older brother continued. Did they have some difficulties, maybe some shortcomings? Maybe they hit a bad spot. Yeah, we can believe it. But the desire to endure, the desire to keep going. One of my loved ones, she always says, just put one foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. We're working toward a better situation, a better future. It's going to take time. It's going to take perseverance. It's going to take endurance. It's going to take determination not to give up. And so that's the picture I want to paint. I want to paint that picture because it's a wonderful thing to have an older brother who takes it upon himself to make sure that his younger brother has the things that he needs. I think it was a beautiful piece. And that's why I say it's one of my favorite. Now, the favorite piece that I made is about my uncle. And then I'd say closely behind that is probably the $10 a yard. That's about my father and the lesson that I learned with him. But I think this piece overall is pretty solid, man. And I hope that the response that I got from it is proof that you all agreed with me on that, right? That the piece was pretty solid. I wanted to make it straightforward and understandable, but at the same time, I'm going to throw some symbolism in there now. I'm going to throw some personification. I'm going to throw in some literary devices to help you to think. Because just listening to a good short story is fine. But the best short stories I've ever read in life carry a moral. There's something else that's attached to it. And so that's what I intended to do with this one. There's a moral to the story. Perseverance. The willingness to endure, to go through difficulty without giving up, giving in, or giving out. That's the purpose of the story. Not allowing individuals to push you so that your circumstances in life are seen as unsurmountable, or insurmountable, I should say. You can't overcome this particular instance that you're in. This situation is going to be the death of you, and I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth. No. The tenacity that we have as human beings, it benefits us because we're not easily shaken. You know, situations that we go through, I've seen individuals go through difficulties associated with cancer. I've seen individuals go through difficulties associated with financial issues, spiritual issues. I've seen it. And to be honest with you, I've gone through some of those things. I've been homeless myself before. It didn't last too long because it was in college. When my friends found out about it, they made sure I had a place to stay. They even come and got me. So those things that you go through, if you have the tenacity and if you have the emotional stability, you can endure those situations. You can endure them. And that's what the story is about. It's about endurance. It's about perseverance. It's about looking in the face of difficulty and refusing to give ground to it. No, I'm not going to give up. And what's more is I'm going to push against it. I'm going to push against this difficult circumstance until this circumstance becomes beneficial and positive. I'm going to put the effort into it. I'm going to be the one to make the change so that I can make sure that my loved ones around me who may be vulnerable, my loved ones around me who may not be able to take the situation and transform it into something good, I'll do it. I'll do it. And that's what manhood is about. That's what manhood is about. You're faced with difficulty and you turn the difficulty into something, as we mentioned, that's beneficial to everyone. That's what manhood does. And until further notice, that's what I think of manhood. That's my belief. Until somebody changes my mind, and I doubt that will be the case, okay? So I'm rambling now, as I usually do. But hopefully you enjoyed the short story. Man, we're going to keep going with all the positivity that we possibly can. And I know that from the response, you all are enjoying it. So thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for continuing to tune in. And as I always say, man, you know I love you. Be easy. Peace.